Kia ora and welcome to this short video looking at how we manipulate surds. So there are two rules we're going to be using. The first one is that the square root of PQ is equal to the square root of P times the square root of Q. The second rule is that the square root of the quotient P over Q is equal to the square root of P over the square root of Q. I suggest that, as usual, when you're doing this video, you try the question first, but make sure that you write that rule down in your book, because you're going to be using it. Now, you won't need it after a few examples, but you might do to start with. So now we're going to look at some examples taken from Delta 1.4. I've just picked out 4 to go through. So here's the first one, question 6. 3 times root 10 times 2 times root 15. So we're going to use the rule that, the PQ rule. Right, so the first product can be written as 10 times 9. And the second product can be written as 15 times 4. So what I'm doing here, you can think about it, when you're putting something back under a square root sign, you need to be squaring it. So this probably won't feel obvious to start with, but you should get used to seeing a number sitting out here and popping it back inside squared. So let's look at how that's the PQ rule. So if we take 10 times 9, that's equal to the square root of 10 times the square root of 9, which is 3 root 10. Okay, so we don't need to obviously write that out ever when we're doing our working, but when you start out, sometimes that can help if you feel like these are a little bit strange. So now what I've got here is I've got one product, one square root times another square root. I can pop those all together, and I get 10 times 9 times 15 times 4. So what I'm doing when I solve these problems is I'm looking for perfect squares that I can pull back outside. So this one has got a 9 in there, and it's got a 4 in there. We can go step by step. So that's 36. The square root of 36 is 6. So we have 6 times the square root of 150. So that's step 1. Now we have to look at the 150 and see if there are more perfect square factors in there. And there are. 25 is a factor of 150. So we have 6 root 25 times 6. So we want to pull the root 25 outside, which is 5, and now we have 30 root 6. Okay, so that's the first one done. What we're looking to try to do is to get the number under the surd to be as small as possible. So it's no good to leave it as 6 root 150 for your final answer. You really want to be getting it down to 30 root 6. So if you're not really comfortable with powers of 2, that's something that's kind of like a basic fact for working with surds. Okay, I popped in an algebra one. Right, all we need to do is do one big surd sign and multiply everything together. So 3 times 27 is 81, and I've got an x here, an x squared here, and an x here, so that's x to the power of 4, and I've got y squared, y, and y, so that's y to the power of 4. So that simplifies to 9x squared y squared. Next question coming up. Alright, now here I've got some bracket expanding to do, just as I do it, just how I always do it. Root 2 times root 12 is root 24, plus root 2 times root 30 is root 60. Now we go looking for perfect squares, and we can see we've got a factor of 24, which is 4. So it's going to be 2 root 6 plus perfect square in there. 60 is a multiple of 4, so it's going to be 2 root 15. Now that's as much simplifying as I can do here because I've got different square roots. So that's the end of question 3. That's delta question 12. Last one. Okay, so 3 root 2 times root 2 minus root 8. Again, we expand the brackets and we get 3 times 2 minus 3 root 2 root 8. Right? No need to write that line out if you're confident. So 6 minus 3 root 16, which is 6 minus 3 times 4, which equals negative 6. Right, now you certainly don't need to write 4 lines of working for that. What I would be doing once I was confident is I would be putting in that line and then probably straight to that one. Okay, that's the first video. There are going to be about 5 of these and they're going to ramp up quite quickly in difficulty, so stay tuned for number 2. Thanks for watching.